But at the same time, the DAs are also suggesting another piece of legislation, and that's the microstamping bill. And I just wanted to get, since we did have Michelle Schimmel, and by the way, she did say that those bills that you just enumerated that you're authoring and supporting and pushing very hard in the Senate and the Assembly, she says she supports those 100%. Now, my question to you is, what about the microstamping? Why is that one not not something that you're particularly interested in?
We did a bill here some years ago, and it was the rifling of the bullet through the barrel of a gun. It was a project that we did back in the Pataki administration. We sent called COBUS. And what it was supposed to do was to be able to give us the proof of where this bullet came from, which gun that did, in fact, kill an individual. So we could track them. We'd be able to track the bullet in the gun. So we did all that. You know how many convictions we got after $40 million?
Zero.
All right? So what we did here in microstamping, which I think is it's an approach that many of the gun control advocates in Ms. Schimmel's assembly want to see passed. But all it does is it restricts and puts regulations on people in the state of New York on microstamping and having a microstamp of a bullet casing. The firing pin would mark the shell, and we would be able to trace, supposedly, the markings of those bullets to the gun by microstamping. There's only one little problem. 90% of the guns and the bullets that are used in the city of New York and across the state of New York do not come from within the state of New York. So we would be creating a great piece of legislation that would absolutely do nothing for us in the short term. In the long term, if they want to do something, it would have to be a national law.
So this needs to be a federal. Would you support a federal law? I'm understanding your argument now. So this would be a federal law. It wouldn't do any good as a state law because it wouldn't cover 90% of the shell casings or the bullets in New York State. Right?
It could not.
Right.
There's no logical way to make this legislation work. And of course, their theory is, and I give a good credit, is that if New York does it, so goes the country. That's not true. That is definitely not true. If we're the first or second state to do this, and by the time the rest of the nation catches on, it is, we're talking about 15 years down the road. 20 years down the road, if in fact it does ever become law. So if it's going to become law, it should be done at the federal level, not at the state level. Then you have a process by which you want to be able to track guns. But the cost to making these guns, obviously, and making this work is very significant. And you know what happens? Two things that they leave out of this is it's a firing pin. Anybody that owns a gun knows what you do with a firing pin. You just take it and you scratch it down. You got no numbers on it. So
Senator, I have an idea, and I think that we need to really think out of the box because the gun thing is getting out of control. What about the idea that we grab the guy, for instance, that shot up the movie theater, or a guy like that, right? The next time he does it. We bring in all the media, every bit of media. And then Dave holds him. I throw gasoline on the guy, and we light the guy up in front of everybody. And we say, next guy who tries this is going to die this way as well. Would you support that?
Well, here's the problem with that. That's an interesting approach, a little extreme.
Brad has a lot of interesting approach.
Here's the problem with that. Regardless of what gun controls we have across this nation, you are always going to have that individual that is sick and deranged and will find a way of going out and hurting some of the masses of people across this nation.
That's true.
Now, one of those guns that we used in those mass executions and shootings across this country were New York guns. None of the masses here that are shot and killed are used by New York guns. They come in from outside the state of New York, and we need legislation that takes those individuals that's going to possess those guns and lock them up, and they'll stop buying those guns, and then we'll stop seeing the deaths that we see in the shootings in the streets of New York.
Yeah,
only way it can be done.
But that, it's so true. But we're nothing that we ever do, nothing that law enforcement does, nothing that you do as a senator, nothing we can do about the deranged person. They're going to get their hand on a gun, and unfortunately, we have to somehow find these people before they get to that point. And I think we need, as a society, to locate, to understand. There's always the writing was always on the wall. Whenever we see any of these killers, the writing was always on the wall that they were going to one day do something like this. And it's just it's unfortunate that in a lot of these cases, no one stepped in before they committed the crime.
But Senator,
you should take a look at the other nations, and they like to compare them to our nation when it comes to gun control. How they have minimal shootings and minimal homicides. You should take a look what happens if you get caught carrying a gun in those nations, an illegal gun. If you get caught carrying an illegal gun in some nations, that's like killing somebody. They put you in jail for 25 years. That's why you see low shootings and low deaths in other nations, is because they have the legislation that puts you in jail for carrying that illegal gun. Right. We got to mention one thing. The Constitution gave us a Second Amendment, and the right to carry a gun and to arm yourself is a perfectly legitimate and perfectly part of this great nation's fabric. And they should be allowed to do their hunting and go out across this country and carry and possess a legal gun. We're talking about illegal guns, bad guys that are buying the guns. If we grab these guys right in the beginning, we can put these people in jail, get these guns off the street, and make a difference. And that's what Giuliani did when he was the mayor of the city of New York, and that's what Michael Bloomberg has done. And that's why we're going to see this year, as you've seen the spike in crime that went up 28% for the summer months. I guarantee you, well, maybe I'm stepping out there a little bit, but I'm going to bet that this will go down as one of the lowest years in homicides here in the city of New York, and that's because of the police commissioner, Ray Kelly, and because of this mayor's policies in going after these people, and legislation that I've created in the past and would want to create in the future to make sure we put people in jail for the county.
Senator Golden, you are a crime fighter. You're a great New Yorker.
I really have
one
more. I have one more question. Right. I know it's been a long.
Let's save it because there's another thing that we. If it was up to me, I would like to bring up a couple other things. Like I'd like to talk about stop and frisk more. I'd also like to talk about the fact that drug crimes and the incarceration rate of nonviolent offenders. But I think Senator Golden has done enough for us and our listeners.
And Senator, but one more thing. Just briefly, in 1982, when you were run down, can you just tell that story? That's a story that I think a lot of people haven't heard. Can you just tell that story?
I came up on a car that was doing a narcotic sale, and we got out of our cars, and they took off. One guy tried to run into the smoke shop. I guess he was trying to sell the smoke and the drugs, too. They locked the door on him, so I proceeded down the street. He had a .45 in his hand. I went across Bedford Avenue chasing him, and as I was running after him, I got hit, and I was done about 40 feet in the air, and my arm snapped, and my legs, I lost ligaments in both of my legs, one in my right and two in my left. But you know what? The adrenaline's flowing. You don't know it. Now I'm up and running. I still picked up the drug. Got this guy with
Well, Dave has actually seen you exercise. Dave is.
I have. He's in the middle of telling the story, though.
I know, but he's seen you exercise, and he says you are fit as a fiddle.
No, he is. He's in great shape. But finish the story. This is an incredible story.
Well, the sergeant with me tells Marty, you better sit down. You're not in good shape. Oh. And we sat down, and they went after. We really never. We believe we caught one guy, but we couldn't put him on that scene. And he was arrested and deported. Wow. The other three got away, and it was all over drugs. And it's sad. You need to be able to go out there. We still live in tough times. And we're talking about guns, and people think that it's a New York City issue. 2 years ago in Sweden and other countries, you see what's happened around the world. We are in just tough economic times, and therefore people are resulting to crime in other locations, and crime is increasing in our country. And that's part of it, is the economic downturn and the bad economy here in this country. So this nation's on it's on a two-track system between two presidents and two directions. And what direction do we want to go? I believe we want a direction that's going to bring jobs back and get our economy going and keep our cities and streets and our communities in those cities safe. And I think that's the Romney ticket. And I hope that, I don't know if there's a political portion of this program, but we need to make a change. We need to stand tall, and we make sure that we go according to the great Constitution that was created here in this great government by our forefathers. And we allow that Constitution, the greatest Constitution ever written in the greatest nation in the world, to stand. And I think that's what we have to look for. We have to fight for. And I think if we do that, I think we'll have a much better nation going forward and a much safer nation going forward.
I agree 100%. I know Dave does too. We want the best for this country, and so do you, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Martin Golden on Gotham Talk Radio with Brad Gersman and David Schwartz, talking about the gun violence and his bills to try to curb gun violence in New York State, New York City. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Right. Look, we had both sides. It's not really both sides.
I think
it seems there's a lot of overlap.
I could bring them both together. I have no idea.
Not on the stamping,
I have no idea what is going on in the legislature, and why people can't come together on the 90%
the stamping
that
they should go with. They should just go with the stamping.
I think if the Assembly passes these four bills, these common sense bills that Marty laid out, then it's not a big deal. The Senate should just pass the microstamping, come up with a big package. They could all hold hands, sing Kumbaya,
yeah.
and you know what? You got to bring people together. You got to make things happen.
I want to bring it. I think we're running out of time, but I want to just bring in a little bit of a lighter side, because yesterday was 9/11, and it was just awful. I felt it. I think everybody felt it. You couldn't really. I really was depressed yesterday, and it's just awful. Obviously, everyone feels the same way. So, and then now we're talking about guns and violence. Okay, today with Michelle Schimmel and Senator Marty Golden. So I just want to bring up a little bit of a lighter note. Dave, by the way, he's a food connoisseur. Everybody knows that. You heard him with the chips. Those are special chips. You hear his teeth crunching on them. It sounds like the earth is moving while he's eating. But he had a special lunch yesterday.
I did.
Yeah. He ordered. It was strange to see Dave order something that really isn't a fast mover.
I've had it there.
Yeah, but you were probably, when you had it the first time, that was the first time they've heard that order. And then the second time you ordered it yesterday. Well, it was the lobster Cobb salad. I haven't even heard of such a thing. So before the food comes out, everyone at the table saying, I never heard anyone order this. And right away, Dave has this thing about fresh food and make sure that it's clean and it's in season. Right. He's very particular about that. So when it came out, there was a pink hue.
It was.
It was a pink color to
I thought it was a female lobster.
I don't know what the heck that means, but there's a pink lobster. I don't know. Maybe standing up against breast cancer. Yeah. I'm not sure. I hope that was the case, but it may more likely be that this was not good lobster.
May have been.
But I stuck my fork in to try to help protect you, okay? I was his food taster, and I thought it tasted, it was close enough, okay? It wasn't exactly fresh, but I felt that it didn't have that fishy
I love lobster. I can't.
But then you proceeded to gobble this thing down right to the bottom of that bowl. I've never seen. By the way, you ever see Dave eat any kind of salad? A Cobb salad?
No one eats as fast as you, though.
No, I eat fast, but you eat a salad like you need a rake, a shovel, a freaking a leaf blower,
I love my salad.
Everything to get all that salad together in that bowl, and you ate it down. And how did it work out for you?
It worked out fine. It worked. It was a fast. Let's put it this way: it was a very fast mover.
Right. So once
it got into the system
quickly.
Yeah, but my body. It's not like you where I start crying for a week.
Right. But
my tummy hurts. The next day, my tummy hurts again. Cheryl, give me the medicine, Cheryl.
What happened? So was it a quick exit?
A quick exit. An hour later, the whole thing exited from my body, and that was the end of it.
The whole Cobb salad.
Everything.
Do you think it retained? Do you think it retained any part of the Cobb salad?
Never had another pain. I went for a physical this morning. The doctor said,
"Oh, you had
hurt." Yeah, my physical this morning. He presses my stomach. I'm like, nothing.
When he pressed your stomach, did he feel the Cobb salad?
It was gone, Brad. It was gone in an hour. I have this body where if my body doesn't like the food that entered, if for whatever reason, a germ or whatever's in it, it's going to leave within an hour.
Do you know those cans that the bomb squad puts the bomb into?
Yes, that's Dave's stomach.
That's like
you know, and it blew up, but then Dave has this release valve.
But Brad is extra cognizant of this, as if this happens to Brad. It's I
would never have ordered. I would never have ordered a Cobb salad, a lobster Cobb salad where we were.
Go to the drugstore now and buy all the Tums on the shelf. I'm going to drink it all down. 20 bottles of Tums.
You know what? I'm frightened when these things happen. You seem to have this.
No, I take it all in stride because I know what my body's going to do.
Yeah, well, look, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate your stomach. I want to congratulate the exit system that you have. This tremendous, this tremendous plumbing.
This way I can go on to the next bad meal.
Yeah, so this tremendous plumbing that God was able to give you, and you know, it's unique to the human body that you're able to dispose immediately of something that seems bad.
Gone. Yeah.
I really, that's good. That's good. I wish your brain worked the same way.
On that note, this is Gotham Talk Radio with Brad Gersman and David Schwartz. We will see you again next week. GothamGR.com, GothamTalkRadio.net. We'll see you there. Come check us out. And we also have the greatest government relations, lobbying firm, law firm, communications firm in America. So check out those websites.